There's a story right now in USA Today about how diversity officers at Google are very upset. And what are they upset about? Well, supposedly right-wing Google employees, as USA Today describes them. Not too many of those, that's an endangered species. But supposedly those conservative employees are harassing and threatening the diversity officers because of what the diversity officers do. Poor snowflakes. Maybe you should grow a thicker skin. But anyway, I'm not going to justify everything that's going on. I don't know the nature of all the harassment and threats, and I'm sure that some of it is out of bounds. But that's not the point. Did something ever occur to Google and USA Today that maybe people would be a little less upset if you didn't have these diversity officers doing what they do, which is to tilt the playing field to get people into positions that they don't deserve to be in? Did that ever occur to you? I mean, after all, people don't like that very much, that kind of unfairness. It's sort of like if you have a game that you go to, a baseball game or a soccer game, if everything is done fairly, if the referees are fair, the fans, even if their team lost, they usually go away and they're satisfied. But what if there's blatant cheating? What would happen? You could have a riot. People just instinctively do not like unfairness and they rebel against it. Now, of course, there's a lot of hypocrisy with respect to diversity as well. No one really believes in it, not even leftists. Just consider. Let's look at the NBA. It's inordinately black. Should we have diversity there? Does anyone focus on it? Would the NBA be better if we got some short Jewish guys and Asian guys in there? Would it be better if it looked like a cross-section of the United States? How about the NFL? It's 100% male. Maybe it should be 51% female, reflecting the United States. Would that be fairness? Would that make it better? How about this example? Back in the 90s, and yes, I'm old enough to remember the 90s, Bill Clinton used to say, "We have to have a cabinet and a Supreme Court that look like America, because I'll feel your pain." That look like America. Okay, let's look at the Supreme Court right now. Protestants are 53% of the United States, but perhaps they're 0% of the Supreme Court. There might be one Protestant on there. I say might because Neil Gorsuch was raised Catholic, but he's been attending an Episcopalian church, so that's a little fuzzy. Catholics are 22% of the country, but they constitute 2/3 of the Supreme Court, 66 and 2/3%. Jews are 2.5% of the population, but they're 33 and 1/3% of the Supreme Court. There are 3 Jews on there. So is that a Supreme Court that looks like America? Now, mind you, I'm Catholic myself, so I don't say this out of personal vested interest. I'm not a Protestant. But let's be honest about this. Now, how about this one? The Supreme Court is 100% lawyers. Does that look like America? And before you say, wait a second, Duke, they're judges, what else are they going to be? Know that where I live in New York State, yeah, that's where I live, the People's Republic of, you don't have to be a lawyer to be a judge, actually. Where is it written that you should have to be? And how about this example? More than 80% of Google's employees' political contributions go to Democrats. And of course, we know that Google's employees are just about 100% or upwards of 90% liberal. Diversity? How about ideological diversity, Google? But that's not the point. The point is this. No particular arena, specific arena in the United States looks like America. It can't because it's not America. It's a certain niche. The NBA cannot look like America. The NFL cannot look like America. The court system, judges cannot look like America. It just doesn't work that way. Airline pilots cannot look like America. It's utterly ridiculous. And by the way, now that we're on this topic, realize that even racial and ethnic and sexual discrimination can be justified. Now, why do I say that? Because I know you're going to say, Duke, wait a second, that's a bridge too far. Well, consider, even today when I go to a Japanese restaurant, it's the case that all the employees usually are Japanese or at least Asian. Is that racial discrimination? I would say so. I would say that if I went there as a white person seeking a job, I wouldn't be nearly as likely to be hired as an Asian person would. In fact, they might cross me off the list right away. But is that unjustifiable? Well, no, it's not. Because when they have all Japanese employees, it lends an air of authenticity. And people might be much more likely to eat there than at a Japanese restaurant that had a mix of employees. That's just the way it is. It augments their business. And the same is true of a German restaurant, maybe wanting Germanic looking employees, or a West Indian restaurant wanting black employees. You can go right down the line. The point is that diversity is not something that's always beneficial or always should be present in every institution for the aforementioned reason, and also because people simply have different proclivities and interests. Do women want to go into construction the way men do? Do they want to go into other dangerous jobs, being policemen and firemen? No, in general, they don't. Do they want to be Alaskan king crab fishermen? I don't think so. That is life. And does diversity make things better? Does it? Would air travel be better if we had diversity in the cockpit among the pilots who are inordinately white? I don't think so. I don't think you would want pilots hired based on quota. I don't think you'd want to get on that airplane. So let's stop with this insanity. But the most important thing to realize is that diversity is pure and utter nonsense. No one really believes in it, and that includes the left. And the proof of that is that they don't even notice a lack of diversity, as I've illustrated in this video, when it happens to redound negatively upon groups they don't care about, such as whites or men. It's only with their politically favored groups where they start saying, why we need diversity. And that's where the true discrimination here lies. The left doesn't love diversity. It doesn't hate homogeneity. The left doesn't mind group dominance in a field as long as it's the right group that's dominating. Diversity is perversity, and it yields adversity. And if we're going to remain a sane society, emphasis on diversity has got to go.